Bow now. Who was the? Did they have to, who defended for that case today? By the way, the against Murphy or whatever. Murphy isn't defense on that. He's defense. Wait, what was the case for? I'm so confused then. If he was defense. 88 West. I've got no idea who that is, to be honest with you. 5k balance. Well, I could go sell a fucking house. Damn it. Randy got shot in the back. Yeah, I honestly could have. I feel like with the evidence that you see in the clip, like you really could have painted that in a picture that made, like without even lying, you could have painted that into a picture that made him look like he was a life threat. Just you can shoot people in the back if you think they're gonna fucking kill somebody. That's all the offense had to do, or defense, I should say. They just had to justify him as a life threat, and that's it. That's all they had to do. And realistically, with his fucking criminal record, it wasn't. I don't think it would have been that hard. They tried, but she lied on the stand. What did she lie about? What the fuck? The cuffs has nothing to do with it. You can kill people with cuffs on. We've already had this discussion. You can. In fact, cuffs would make it easier for you to choke somebody the fuck out. That would be painful as shit. The DOJ doesn't allow prior history. How does the DOJ not allow prior history in a case like that? I believe that's if they are defending, that they don't allow it. On offense, I think it's the other way around. What the fuck? Fucking nerds, I like it, dude. They say you can't be judged on prior activities. Well, that doesn't matter. Well, technically you can, but if the so the thing is, if the police officer in question is the one bringing it up, it can be, but the lawyer themselves probably can't submit that as evidence. So if I was to talk to my my client and say, have you had any interactions with this man before? She could have said, yes, I've witnessed him murder 10 fucking people in front of me. I've witnessed him take hostages before. You know, a lot of crazy shit. There's no reason that wouldn't be allowed. You know, it's going to be relevant to the case. You've seen them stop that though. Why though? If it's like reasoning for what's happened. Like what's the relevance? Well, the relevance is the person is a live threat, and that's why he's a live fucking threat. You can't be charged based on previous he's not being charged though. That's the thing. You're not listening. He's not being charged. He's the one trying to push charges. He's not on defense in that courtroom. He's on the attack. The police are on the defense. That's not how it works. So I don't see why that would not be allowed. Judge said it was the most heinous gross misconduct by a police officer ever on server. Yeah, well, you know, I've seen that judge in one court case, so, you know. I shot a fucking guy in the head the other day, running down the fucking middle of the highway, so, you know, each their own. Yo, Drunken Monkey, thank you for the 3 months, dude. Hey, Coop. Hello, welcome. I'm sort of interested to see those, which parts of that law is correct. Because I've got a feeling it's going to be different depending on if it's attack or defense. I'm not even sure if that's listed. Let's go have a look, shall we? Important information, court proceedings. I guess that's where we go. So let's have a look at this. And have a look at this. Judicial process, sales tax, case law. Okay, so there's sales tax, case law. That might come in handy. Judicial process. Yeah, so even this says defendant, not defendants. So you should always be filing a case for each entity. And you can't create those entities unless you file a joinder, is how that should work. I mean, it's even written here. You wrote it like 2 years ago. I mean, it's not like it's wrong. I'm just saying. So the thing is with if you look at this case, I'll show you. If it's still here, I don't know if it's still here. Is the Sonya one still here? Yeah, this one. So what the guys have done, they haven't done it against the police department. So this is multiple entities in which they're suing. So Matt should have first filed this against Owen or Scarlett, and then filed the other one separately, and then attempted to have them join so the lawyers could argue if that would be allowed or not. So that's why it was brought up. But where did I write this? Yeah, I probably should have like linked the articles for it, but that's pretty much how it's meant to happen. You meant to file per entity. But if they were suing the police department, it would have been different, because then they could list them as witnesses. But since they did it as not as separate entities like that, it shouldn't have happened. April 29, yeah. Well, Scarlett wasn't here for a month, so there's a reason for that. But that was my plan. So this was my plan. I was trying to actually do the lawyering here. So where is this? So my idea was, because I realized the time frame in which they had to do this. It was past the, and this is probably why the judges didn't want to take an L. The time frame was past the actual date. So my idea as being Miss Winner's lawyer was to say, hey, they have to file her separately, which legally they have to, and I don't know why it wasn't changed. Then when they went to file that, I would have said, this is too late. Legislation says you can't do it. And then they would have been, she just would have walked, essentially. That was the idea anyway. You know, I was excited to do that. See, and this is the response. While you make an excellent point, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Ryan, Mr. Shaw is correct in this instance in citing CCP as the law by which we must rule, which is incorrect, because if you read this, actually I quoted here, indicates that it may happen. It doesn't indicate that it should happen. Whereas this is saying specifically that it has to happen like this. Yeah, I don't know, man. They should just, like, per entity, a case should be filed and then joined. And that's why Murphy did it that way. He filed like 10 different entity cases versus for all the search warrants and shit. Then they ended up getting joined later. But yeah, there's no way to dispute this. Why on earth would I, if I'm defending Scarlett, why on earth would I want a second person that I have to defend against that isn't even on the same charges? They were in the same situation, but the charge list is completely different. But yeah, anyways, what were we looking at? We're looking at whether or not you can bring up previous attorney guidelines, maybe. Here we go. Bench trials held at the police department courthouse. I'm doing some good lawyering. I'm role playing as a lawyer. I'm on my phone right now, chat. Let me just get my phone out. I'm googling limitations. Where does it say the stuff about where does it say the stuff about not being able to bring up previous charges in any cases? That case is tomorrow, if you want to go to the hearing. Honestly, I don't want to necessarily deal with... I prefer to just fucking not deal with it at this point. It doesn't, so they're just making that up themselves. They don't even have it in legislation. Fantastic, dude. Fantastic. That's great. And you can't bring up previous criminal charges. Yeah, that's what I thought. But apparently some of the judges are shutting it down for whatever reason, so that's weird.
Hi, is the doctor in? Can I make an appointment for, like,
Yeah, so what is it like? I mean, it's probably like an IRL thing. When can you bring in the history of a criminal into a hearing? I think this is, from my understanding, this is how it would be. If you're being charged for robbing a store, you can't bring up previous charges for robbing a store to say, hey, this is evidence. But if you're not being charged with something and it's a civil case in which you're suing somebody, the defense can say, hey, you know, this guy's criminal record shows how dangerous he is. You know, if dangerous was a part of, you know, the reason that it happened, then they should be able to say that. I think it's only when you're defending otherwise. You can't bring up animal abuse in a murder trial, but you can bring up previous criminal history to present a pattern. Well, there you go. So I don't understand why they would shut that down. So why do judges have the opinion that you can't bring up somebody's prior history to further a point? I mean, it's relevant. How is it not relevant? Adaptive, thank you for the Prime. Grilled Cow, thank you for the 10 months. I think there's something IRL where there's some sort of limitation with that, but I'm not sure what that is exactly. Because they deal with the incident in hand and nothing prior, but why though? Why is that a thing? Especially if there's a 30-day statute for criminal cases. Why should those not be allowed as evidence? Or not evidence, but put forward. Yo, oh no, thinking with the 3 months. Appreciate it, dude. It becomes profiling. What do you mean it becomes profiling? What does that even mean, dude? How is that? What? How is it profiling? Doesn't even make sense. So normally, before the trial even begins, a judge will typically rule whether to allow prior criminal history. Okay. I literally sat in a court case last week and they used his criminal past to help the jury understand that he's capable of doing it and has a past of doing the same shit. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I could get that you wouldn't want to use like last year's fucking things in a server like this, but painting somebody, especially if they're suing you or whatever, you should totally be able to use that to defend yourself. Like, it makes complete sense. Yo, Chaos, thank you for the 4 months, man. Appreciate it, dude. Well, he's not a criminal, though, in that case. I mean, he's a criminal, but he's not. Because he was the one suing. He's not the one defending charges. It's different. Typically, a criminal conviction will not be admissible in any court. Well, there you go. Unless it helps to prove or disprove something of consequence to the matter before the court. While civil courts generally provide quite a bit of latitude when it comes to what evidence is relevant, criminal convictions are generally reviewed carefully before being admitted to ensure that a party won't be unfairly prejudiced by the evidence. Yeah, so that would more so indicate that, like, you know, yeah, like if it's relevant to the case, so if it's a repeating process of something that's happened prior, then it should be there, you know. Like, where do you draw that line of how well, looks like we'll be a lawyer soon, boys.
At Koil
Also, you want to allow past criminal history when the history is generally unchallenged and created by cops.
That was a
alone
motorbike.
and
He's getting away
challenged
for sure, dude.
9/11.
Where are those sirens stopped? Go chill at Mission Row? Maybe. Maybe, baby. Yeah, I mean, obviously, just because someone's like fucking been caught with a gun before doesn't mean they've fucking shot somebody before. Shit like that, you wouldn't, you know, allow them to fucking use necessarily. But I mean, if somebody had murdered 3 people in the last month, been to jail a few times, why wouldn't you be able to use that as evidence if it was within the last, you know, part of the 30-day period? IT drops 500 bits. So you want to allow past criminal history when that history is generally unchallenged and created by cops alone. I challenge it. Use on that alone. Well, the thing is, every person essentially pleads guilty if they don't take it to court. That's realistically how we'd have to theorize it. Otherwise, what you're saying is every person in this city. What's the point of having an MDT at this point? Because legally, we wouldn't be able to say, "Hey, this guy's a felon. I'm going to frisk him," because of what you just said. It's not feasible. Yo, Alex, thank you for continuing that sub, dude. Appreciate it, man. I mean, there's definitely things that my character has, my characters have been put in jail for, and I thought was like, not valid reasons. Sure, like I would have went to bench trial and stuff. But at the same time, that's usually due to technicalities and, you know, improper process or whatever. Yo, Jatrose, thanks for 3 months. But if we got to go and say, hey, what police do is now worth nothing, then, I mean, what's the point of being police? You might as well just make your own vigilante group, take them out into the ocean and murder them. Get rid of these boys, just bury them out at sea, mate. Given that he was cuffed, wasn't that shotgun excessive? Well, that's the... See, in the court of law, it is how the lawyer paints the picture. If I can say, hey, this man's been involved in violent injuries, Millie-type injuries, he's knocked people unconscious and almost killed them. What's to say, and he's done this plenty of times, what's to say that him with handcuffs on is any less of a threat to life? I don't know the exact circumstances, but you got to think of the power that a lawyer really has in this situation to paint a very clear picture of what they want you to see, because there's no video evidence. We get to see the video, sure. We see some guy run out of a fucking out of a police department and not really look like a threat at all. Like, we don't know what he's doing, but that's what the lawyer can do. The lawyer can twist things and make it look as though he was running right towards somebody across the street, directly at them. You know, he changed path to run at this person and shit like that. Things that would make you think that, oh shit, okay, maybe he was trying to do something. And that's the power of being a lawyer in this world. If there's no video evidence, you get to paint that video in people's minds. But in saying that, you know, there's also the fact that everybody's gonna fucking watch the clip and be like, ew, fuck off! Stop it! You can't do that! You know what I mean? When someone said having a hostage isn't violent... Yeah, dude, it's fucking okay. It's totally normal. Bitch, I will kill you if you leave. Well, that's fine. Yo, Storm, thanks for the 3 months. I mean, if somebody's scared for their life enough that they would stand next to you, you know, obviously there's a threat of death. There's a real threat of death. That person themselves thinks they will die if you don't do as they're told. So clearly you're a fucking psycho. That's already established. You know, one of the yeah, very vital parts of the case is already very established in the case. You do need to sign on as lawyer still also? No, I only need to sign on as lawyer if I go to court. Yo, Fejki, 3 months, thanks dude. Unless we change it, did we change it so lawyers can just get money passively now, Coop?
Nice car.
Thanks, bruv. Got it for free. Gave some guy a house for $1. It's not worth the hour of roleplay. You get to appeal if you can't get back on S1 if you don't get a bench trial at the moment. So records are mere quality. Oh, just appeal at forehead. Well, I'd like you to show me a case that people could have appealed. The way you're implying it is everybody that does everything is innocent, when 99% of the time they have, well, in fact, I think 100% of the time, just about, they have always done something illegal. It's not like the police are putting innocent people in jail here. I don't know if that's happened. I mean, sure, like I said, it could come down to technicalities, and you could win certain charges to be dropped, but I don't think it's really ever happened that somebody was like 100% improperly put in jail. You've had lawyer pay disabled for the last year. Well, there you go. Why do I need to sign in? YOLO swag. Besides Sheng and Clarkson, getting the cops involved wrong by saying Reinhardt wasn't there? Wait, what? You sign in for proof of being a lawyer? Oh, right, okay. I don't even know if I can sign in, actually. Because this character was made, like, around when the database got fucking hacksawed, so... we better check that we can even sign in. It's a little orcs. Ever get that feeling people might be overthinking this? What are we overthinking, though? Like, I think it's a good discussion. We should be, I don't think it's an issue talking about this stuff at all. I'm just saying, like, my point I'm making is, I, as a lawyer in character, feel I could have justifiably defended what happened that day. But in saying that, out of character, when I look at that, I think, hey, that probably didn't need to happen. But at the same time, you know, sometimes you need to understand the frustrations of the police with some of the fucking shit they deal with. But when, and that's one of the, you know, main cause of the problems. Police will always look bad because majority of people don't watch police. And when the masses say something, a lot of the low IQ specimens will agree with that because that's what the mass have said. That must be right. She didn't know Reinhardt was behind her? Oh, fucking call the police, bruv. We don't go in there. The hive mind has spoken. But yeah, like I said, out of character, when I watched that, I think, you know, I would personally never fucking try and shoot somebody in the back like that unless it was like, you know, they were fucking baiting police or something and it was like, I did that for like admin type shit. You know what I mean? That's when I'd consider doing it. Just because, you know, it's like, okay, you're the biggest shitlord ever. We probably need to stop that. Alright, I'm still a public defender. Okay, we're good, chat. Like Eddie, I sort of felt bad for Eddie, though, to be honest. Eddie, I think Eddie made a new character, so that's going to be a little more entertaining for him, I think. And that's half the reason why Otto gets so boring, because there's also the fact that, you know, I can't really do too much. Yeah, not following the popular decision doesn't make you right either. You know what makes you right? Facts. Facts make you right.